The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round. School buses, unlike all other buses on the road, create right-of-way issues for all drivers because they have the power to bring traffic to a standstill. The fundamental rule is when your driving path is going to end up behind a school bus that has red flashing lights on, you must stop, no matter what. No matter which lane you are in, whether it is this one, or this one, or this one, you must stop. Watch this next clip as we see the school bus's cautionary, flashing yellow lights, and yet the SUV speeds up to avoid getting caught behind the school bus's soon-to-appear red flashing lights, all at the expense of possibly endangering children. This course is designed to minimize risk and increase safety. And speeding up to get by a school bus is one of those exact examples where something silly like this can result in a huge consequence. The risk doesn't match the reward. So waiting for the school bus is an easy way to increase safety for your driving. Now we will see other cars follow the law perfectly by coming to a complete stop behind the school bus, even if they are not in the same lane as the bus. These cars will not be able to move again until the red flashing lights are turned off or the driver waves them on by. We know that when we're behind a school bus and it has its red flashing lights on, we must come to a complete stop. But what do we do as we approach a school bus from the front that has its red flashing lights on? It all boils down to whether the street you're driving on is divided by something like a median, ditch, or guardrail, or isn't divided. In this picture, we see the red flashing lights of the school bus in this huge grassy median. So what should cars in this part of the road do? Because this is a divided roadway, the law says that drivers should continue ahead with caution. What does this mean for you? Simply drive on past the school bus and hover your foot over the brake, looking for a stop if one of the children were to run across the street. So let's watch this video and see how these drivers handle approaching the school bus. Not too well. These drivers should have gone on through as the green arrows we drew suggest. Now, if this median weren't here, then these cars would be forced to stop, just as we see them doing in the video, and that is why there is confusion in this situation. So, if it is a divided road and we are approaching the school bus from the front, then we drive on through. If this median weren't here, we would be required to stop. Another way school buses surprise drivers is at railroad crossings. The law in this state says that when a school bus approaches a train track, they must put on their flashing lights. After putting on their lights, they must come to a complete stop at least 15 feet before the railroad track. Then, open the door and do a thorough visual search for a train. If the bus driver determines the tracks are empty, then he or she will close the door, which will automatically shut off the flashing lights and go across the train track. All school buses and trucks hauling hazardous materials are required to do this. Think of the consequences if they don't. So how are the rest of us supposed to handle this? One, we could simply be patient and wait for the bus to complete their check, like the box truck we see in the video behind the bus. Or two, we can build up our driving skills, and when we look up the road, We would identify that there's a bus and a railroad crossing. We would already know that the bus was going to stop at the railroad crossing. So we would change lanes and be able to legally pass the bus even though it stopped at the railroad track. One last note about school buses. Remember, they should almost always be traveling in the far right lane, known as the slowest lane.